Let's start off from Nigeria, where the Ondo State House of Assembly held its first plenary session on Tuesday, the 28th of November, after last Friday's meeting with President Bola Tinubu in Abuja. Now, at the end of Tuesday's plenary, the Speaker of the Assembly, Mr. Olamide Oladiji, disclosed that as part of the resolutions reached at the meeting with the President, the Deputy Governor, Mr. Lucky Aiyedatiwa, was asked to write an undated resignation letter and submit it to the President. Now, the Speaker said the President appointed him, the Speaker, the Secretary of the Ondo State Government, Mr. Oladiji, and the State Chairman of the All Progressive Congress, Adegboye, to monitor compliance with the resolutions. And of course, joining me in the studio at this time to make sense of all this latest development in Ondo State is Dr. Benson Enikuomehin, a legal practitioner and former Ondo State Commissioner on the Governing Board of the NDDC in, of course, Lagos, here with me. Thank you so much for your time.
Well, good evening. It's a pleasure being here.
Of course, you'd say with me, interesting times. I remember last week we, of course, started this conversation, and it's pretty much interesting that there's an update that we can pick up from, right? But we understand that right now, the Ondo State chapter of the People's Democratic Party, just as I, of course, made reference to last week, has described the President's intervention as some sort of window dressing. Now, with this recent event that we are seeing, particularly in the House, does this in any way justify what the opposition has described at the meeting?
Well, let me thank you for the privilege to be here. And I also want to appreciate your station for taking this great interest in the affairs of Ondo State. May I say quickly that the House of Assembly, with whatever power that they may have, does not have the power to ask the Deputy Governor to sign an undated letter of resignation. The law is clear as to how Mr. Aiyedatiwa can be removed from office. That has to be by the provision of Section 188 of the 1999 Constitution as amended. And the section has to do with where it is found out that the man has acted in an untoward manner. The law says it must be a gross misconduct. Where there is a gross misconduct, procedures are laid down from Section 188, subsection 1 to subsection 10 as to the procedure to follow. That was what the House of Assembly embarked upon, but along the line, they couldn't proceed further because there was a court order that forbade them from going further on that matter. Now, if they couldn't achieve that, will they achieve this by backdoor of asking the Deputy Governor to sign an undated letter of resignation? That is anachronistic. It's uncalled for. It's beyond their power. The question we will ask is this: why will a man whom the entire state, together with his boss, the governor, we gave them a mandate for a period of 4 years, will that mandate be now taken to the House of Assembly without finding him in an gross misconduct to say he should come and sign undated letter? Now, to whom should he address the undated letter? Mr. Governor is not around. He's been ill, and that is obvious to everyone. Whom will he write the undated letter to? Is it to be written to Mr. President? I hope they do know that Ondo State is not subservient to any of the states in the Federation, including the government of the Federation. Ondo State is a component part of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Okay.
Why we concede the fact that Mr. President is the overall leader of the nation The state has its own peculiarities. We have the executive position, we have the judiciary, we have the legislature. We don't take our matter to the national except a state of emergency is declared. That is when Mr. President can interfere. But within their political party, that is the APC, they can have understanding and discuss, but that should not override the constitutional provision. So the House lacks the competence, the power, the authority to ask the deputy governor to sign an undated letter. For what?
I mean, there are two pivotal issues, right now. Number one, the fact that as part of the resolution, it was agreed that the status quo remains, and also the issue of the deputy governor signing an undated resignation letter. I will still stay with you on the issue of the undated resignation letter. Now, as part of the resolutions of that meeting, the deputy governor, that's Mr. Lucky Aiyedatiwa, was actually asked to write an undated resignation letter and also submit it to a president. So is it right, number one, which of course I think you have established, but let's assume that they want to go by this. Can this be at any point valid?
Of course not. It's illegal. No matter how pungent, how reasonable they may have come with that resolution contravenes. It was contrary to. It's a negation of the constitutional provision. So it is only if the deputy...
But that will further deepen... I mean, some will tell you that will further deepen the crisis in the state.
That is not the issue. That's not the issue. What they have asked the deputy governor to do is to hold an AK-47 and then turn it to himself and pull the trigger. Do you know the meaning of writing an undated letter of resignation? At any time, you can write it in the morning, and in the evening, they go ahead and put the date. But
some have also argued that it's a way to, of course, put them in check.
That is
so that you don't, should you at some point maybe officially assume acting capacity, this letter will constantly remind you that you need to, of course, be put in check and maybe act within the ambit of the law.
I think those who demanded for that were demanding for what was abysmally wrong. Now, these are the facts. I listened to the deputy governor when he spoke at the meeting with Mr. President. That was on record. He said, all the hatchets, all the ill feelings are all gone, and that is not going to act to punish anyone. What else do you want? These are days when documents are kept on record. So why do you want him to write another letter? Those who constitute themselves into the crisis, why did they also not write letters and say, we are sorry for constituting ourselves into a cabal that has brought the state into a ridicule? It's never done. He can't do it. If he does it, he has shot himself not only in the leg but in the head. Let them sit down and discuss. In any event, in the affairs of the state, the governor is the number one citizen. 2, the deputy governor is number 2, followed by the speaker, then the chief judge. Now, part of the resolution is that you are asking those persons who ordinarily are subordinate to the office of the deputy governor. We're not talking about a person, we're talking about the office of the deputy governor. Somebody is occupying it. Now, to say office of the deputy governor should now be supervised, should now be monitored by the secretary to government, who was an appointee. We didn't vote for the secretary to government. We didn't vote for the party chairman of the state. He's the party chairman of their party. But the deputy governor is not the deputy governor of APC in Ondo State. He is the deputy governor of Ondo State.
I mean,
those who voted for him, those who didn't vote for him, as soon as he becomes the deputy governor, his office transcends beyond mundane office. He is the deputy governor. That position is provided for in the constitution conspicuously. Okay. And so we are asking the office to become subservient to someone else. It's
I mean,
never
we'll
done.
come back to this matter when it comes to what the law says, and we also understand the fact that this is an internal, party issue that is snowballing into the administration of the state. But another core issue right now is the deputy governor officially assuming the position of acting governor in lieu of, when the governor of the state has fully recovered and, of course, comes back to office. Some have argued that the deputy governor for now, cannot officially assume that position because the governor is still, even though he's not in the state, is, receiving some sort of medical attention and all of that, administration and governance is still ongoing. There are even, claims that he signs papers, there are no documents hanging. So why should power be handed over to the deputy governor when the governor, even though he's not, physically present, affairs of running the state is still happening? Is there any form of validity to this particular claim according to the law?
We must look at the provision of the Constitution and don't say this just on the air. And I wish that for those who are listening, let's go to section 190, subsection 1 and 2 of the 1999 Constitution as amended. Please permit me to read. Acting governor during temporary absence of governor. When the governor is temporarily absent from the state, what should happen? Section 190, subsection 1 says, whenever the governor is proceeding on vacation or is otherwise unable to discharge the function of his office. The governor is not proceeding on vacation now, but he is unable to discharge the function of his office. He shall transmit a written declaration to the Speaker of the House of Assembly to that effect. And until he transmits to the Speaker of the House of Assembly a written declaration to the contrary, the deputy governor shall perform the functions of the governor as acting governor. Subsection 2. In the event that the governor is unable or fails to transmit the written declaration mentioned in subsection 1 of this section within 21 days, the House of Assembly shall, and please take note of the word, shall is mandatory, is compulsory, shall by a resolution made by a simple majority of the House of the vote of the House mandate the deputy governor to perform the functions of the governor, the functions of the office of the governor as acting governor, until the governor transmits a letter to the Speaker that he is now available to resume his functions as office. And this is the scenario. Governor Oluwarotimi Akeredolu has been incommunicado. Nobody reaches him. Even his deputy cannot reach him. And therefore, he is unable to perform the function of his office. For those who said that the governor can stay in Ibadan and be ruling from there, this is mysterious. We voted for him as the governor of Ondo State. The capital of Ondo State, for those mischief makers who don't know, is Akure. And in Akure, there is a government house where the governor has been staying for the past 6 years. It is unfortunate that the man is sick, and we sympathize and empathize with him in this respect. We don't wish him dead. At least President Muhammadu Buhari was sick, and he came back. And that's also what we wish for our own governor, Mr. Rotimi Akeredolu SAN. Now, if he becomes sick and is unable to transmit power, the implication is that that sickness will not enable him to perform the functions of the state. Just a moment.
Okay.
I am told now that the Executive Council meeting is going on in Ondo State. Now, can the governor, where he is, come to preside over the executive meeting? It's not done. The executive meeting is held in executive chamber. And from what I heard, or what I read, that the deputy governor is the one presiding. Yes, because he's the deputy chair. When a meeting of the ESCO is held, the governor is not addressed as the governor, is addressed as the chairman. And his vice chairman is the deputy governor. Now, where the governor is absent, the deputy governor cannot immediately, the law does not permit him to transmute himself into acting capacity. What the law says is this: where the governor fails to write this letter transmitting power to the deputy governor, whenever that happens, within 21 days, the House of Assembly shall, and the House of Assembly cannot go beyond 21 days. If they have gone beyond 21 days, they have contravened the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. They shall, not may, not they may think. It is compulsory for them to make the deputy governor as the acting governor. And look at the ridicule in the resolution of yesterday. They said the deputy governor shall be performing the function of, shall be the deputy governor. They were not the one that made him the deputy governor. The state made him. What are the functions of the deputy governor? The only one I know that is the function of the deputy governor is that he is deputy governor. He only carries out the instruction given by his boss, who is the governor. If the governor does not give him instruction, the man remains docile.
So are you saying that the party, the platform, which is the party on which, of course, the governor and the deputy governor, rode on to become the #1 citizens of the state, do not have a say, in any of these matters, happening at the moment, you see, even at the federal level?
You see, the party will sit down. Whenever the party passes a resolution, a discussion within the party, what the party does is that it transmits that to the appropriate authority who should look into it. If that particular resolution contravenes the Constitution, it behoves the appropriate authority to tell them, you can't do this. For example, who acts as the chairman of the Executive Council? From what I saw today, they said the deputy governor does. He can preside. But you see, the function of the deputy governor, in order to manage the affairs of the state, must be legally conferred on him. You cannot immediately on your own say, oh, my boss is not around, I want to be acting governor. You can't do it. The House, within 21 days, if the governor does not transmit, we go and do it. Why did this come into fruition? Recall that President Musa Yar'Adua, of blessed memory, was sick and he was unable to transmit power. And that became issue. And some persons within that government were going airwire. They were going, running almost amok, misbehaving. Then, under the leadership of Senator David Mark, they came with what we call the doctrine of necessity. That because the president was not able to transmit power, therefore, it becomes necessary, if we don't want Nigeria to derail, to make the vice president the acting president. It was when that happened that they now amended the Constitution to put it legally. So the doctrine of necessity has now been codified that whenever the governor or the president is not around, is sick or is indisposed, what to be done within 21 days? You don't need to discuss about it.
Just like what we are seeing on the screen, I was about asking you that what could be the root cause of why the House seems not to want to, sort of officially, give the deputy governor that acting capacity as the governor of the state. You can see a letter at some point, of course, where the deputy governor was accused of gross misconduct, in the state. Those are details of the letter. This letter is dated way back as the 20th of September this year. Now, let's look at the reason. What could be, they are from the same party. They campaigned, on the same platform, and they got the top job in the state. What could be the root cause why it appears like the House is sort of lackadaisical in officially saying, you know what, or even the governor himself is lackadaisical in saying, officially assume acting capacity as governor even while I'm away.
We need to address certain issues rather than jumping from one to the other. Now, the first issue to address is the issue of the letter you said they wrote, and which was to the fact that they allege, and note, they allege that the deputy governor did A, B, C, D. In the allegation, they must serve that allegation on the deputy governor. That is the law. Section 188 provides for that. That when they allege this, they must serve on the deputy governor. That letter was not served. The deputy governor was wise. He was well advised that if they had omitted this, they can't go further. Because in the case of Inokoju and Adeleke, my Lord Honorable Justice Nikki Toby was quite explicit. And he said, this procedure must be strictly followed. Omission of one renders the whole activity null and void. So the deputy governor went to court and got an order to stop them. So it's not enough to say we allege. If your allegation cannot be proved, the law is that he who alleges must prove. So if you allege and your allegation cannot be proved, the allegation is of no moment. It's of no use. So as at now, this allegation should be kept in dustbin because it has not been proven. And the matter is pending before the court. And the court has said all parties hold hands. Hold on. Recall that they wrote to the CJ and asked the CJ to set up a 7-man committee who will address the issue. The CJ of Ondo State, knowledgeable jurists, said an order of injunction is pending. Pending the time when you resolve that, I cannot disobey the court. Because the CJ himself was made a party to the particular case. So, because they were not able to go through that procedure, they already hamstrung. The last time they went to Court of Appeal, they said they wanted abridgment of time. I
mean, because we pressed...
Just a moment, okay, my brother. They wanted abridgment of time. The court said, no, go through the procedure. So, because they couldn't come through the front door, they are now going through the back door to say, write a letter of resignation. For what? To who will he address the letter?
Anyway, I mean, because we pressed for time, I just want to know your opinion as regards, with all of this fallout and all of this rancor back and forth and the crisis within the state, what do you foresee as regards the political landscape in Ondo State? What do you foresee happening in the coming weeks? Well,
those persons who are involved in this are all interested in contesting for the office of the governor come next year. And they do know that all of them must resign before the contest will take place. It's only the deputy governor who cannot resign his position, because I'm also told he's also interested in contesting for the office of the governor. There's no crime for that. If he contests and he wins, to God be the glory. If he contests and he fails, to God be the glory. But why will you allow the man not to do his official duty because of the inordinate ambition of some persons within the political milieu of Ondo State? If this continues, what we are seeing is this. Mr. Governor has been away from the state for more than 4 or 5 months. Those who are signing the signature of Aketi, hear this now clearly. Wherever you may leave the signature from, you will account for it. Because the man is not on ground to sign. Anything that you bring for which you put the stamp, by the time experts are brought on board, they will unearth all the illegality. I'm sure you would have heard that just a few weeks ago that it came out that 7.8 billion was spent on contingencies. Who approved it? The governor has the power to approve only 20 million. That is the minimum, the maximum he can approve.
All right.
The other one will be approved by the State Executive Council, who presided over the same executive council.
Dr. Enikuomehin, we need to go. Thank you so much. I mean, I understand, of course, that this conversation is still ongoing. We'll, of course, keep our eyes on this particular ball, that's Ondo State. But Dr. Benson Enikuomehin, a legal practitioner and former Ondo State Commissioner on the governing board of the NDDC, of course, thank you once again for making our time to be in the studio.
Thank you very much. The pleasure is mine.
All right, the conversation still continues. This time around, we will be going to Sierra Leone after this break. Stay with us.